My experience was so visceral. I've listened to so many other people talk about their near-death experiences and the incredible community that I'm in. And a lot of times there's a very visual and very like interactive. Mine was it was almost as if God was saying to me, it is love, Davis. It is love. That thing you've been chasing is what it is.
Hey, everybody. I'm Jane.
And I'm Sarah.
And you're listening to the Medium Curious Podcast, the show that looks at life through the lens of death.
Ooh, that's deep.
We're deep, babes. We're so deep.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that's kind of everything. Well, today we are talking to an NDE experiencer, Davis Haines, and he's an artist, he's a musician, he's a dad, and he's amazing.
He's like love incarnate.
Yes.
Don't you think?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Like a love bomb in a body.
Yeah. Let's go meet him.
Let's go meet him. Yay. Okay, here we go.
Hi, Davis. We're so happy to have you with us today. You are friends with a dear friend of ours from a mentorship that we did, Sachi Webb. So I just wanted to throw her name out there because we love her so much. But she's like, you have to get in touch with Davis. He's so wonderful. And it's because you guys have both had NDEs. And I am so fascinated by NDEs. Jane, you almost had one this weekend.
I mean, Davis, we're going to let you talk in a second. I'm sorry, but yeah,
No,
I had an
ahead.
incident. I had an incident that was very scary, and I thought I was going to be headed to the hospital because I couldn't breathe. So,
Oh no.
yeah, and I was like, oh, that's timely because we're meeting Davis on Monday. You know, like the weird thoughts, and I'm sure you're about to tell us.
I'm obviously still processing that.
Oh, that's
I'm
so
okay.
funny.
Everything's okay, but that was a moment.
Yeah, my actual near-death experience was a big one, but I've also like been driving, eating those like peanut butter filled pretzels, and almost had one in the car, just just eating one of those. So you never know; they can come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Well, you're very intuitive because it was an eating problem. That's what happened.
We're so precariously in these little human bodies, aren't we?
Yeah.
This is a precarious situation. Thank you for telling me that story. I feel better. Mine was a scrambled egg trying to kill me. So.
Oh, yeah. It's very humbling when that happens because
Totally.
it's just a pretzel or an egg. You never know where
like
it's
you're
coming
going
from.
down. Yeah. What's going to take us off this little precious earth? Oh my goodness.
Well, we had you on to talk about your experience because it really profoundly changed your life. Do you mind sharing your experience with us?
Absolutely, I'd be happy to. So, I usually start from when I was a kid because I do think that it sets the stage a little bit. Pun a little bit intended, and you'll see why.
We'll take
so
it.
I
We'll
was
take any pun you got.
an allusion maybe to something to foreshadowing. So I was a very blessed kid in a really happy family here in Alabama where I live now, and I'm an identical twin. And I had a couple siblings and some cousins, and we were we had a lot of dysfunction in our family, but we also had a lot of joy. And the way we processed the dysfunction is through making stuff. We would just create, and whether it was filming movies. Whenever my out-of-town cousins came to town, we made movies, or my in-town cousins, we started bands. And throughout school, that's how I kind of express myself, was through the arts, and it was writing for the school newspaper, writing poetry, performing in plays. My brother and I woke up like at 5 a.m. in high school to go rehearse with our extracurricular barbershop quartet that was student led. We didn't even have like a teacher who was helping us. We were that devoted to just being in the arts and doing stuff. We were super into it. And it's how I kind of found myself. I started academically pretty well, and then I started kind of fading, and they realized it's because I was an arts kid, and they were like, we need to find a way to get this
I've got one
kid.
of those. Yep.
You know how it is. Okay.
Yeah.
So I also, throughout this whole time, I have this like deep love and desire to work with people with disabilities and young people, like babies, especially like really young kids. I just loved their ability to be alive and to I always joke or say, not even joke, just honestly say that people with disabilities taught me how to love. I would volunteer and I would teach theater classes and percussion classes and things to this particular organization in town that worked with adults with disabilities. And the way that I was received every single day when I walked into that space, I was like, well, this is where it's at. This is where it's at. So that's what I went to school for, to work with people with disabilities. And I ended up doing so much. The academic part didn't really work out for me at that time. And I was kind of depressed, but I was performing a lot. And I just decided to leave school and move to Chicago to be with my brothers. Both my twin and my older brother were there. When I got there, they said, bring your drum set. We're starting a band. So I'm like, all right, cool. So, that's just what we did. So I did that. And I worked in a coffee shop and I lived a very simple sort of artist experience. And while we were living there, I went back to school to visit my friends and actually convinced one of them to leave college and come join us, because I'm that kind of revolutionary type of person, I guess, and a parent's worst nightmare maybe of a certain era. But it was what we were doing felt really beautiful and powerful, and we were so excited. And at that time, actually, I had my first ever psychedelic experience, and so I was like, well, there's something going on, and I don't know what it is, but I love this love stuff. I mean, I'm just super into that.
I love this love stuff.
I love this love stuff. I loved it. I was like, I had been raised religious, but it didn't really do much for me. I remember church being extremely boring, and I was Episcopal. And my favorite day was Rally Day, where they would put on a play, and I was like, I think I just like plays. So senior year in high school, I played Jesus in Godspell at a local theater here.
Nice.
And that was like really, I was like, ooh, I like the Jesus part, but I'm not so sure about the rest of it. I think Christianity needs some PR help, because it was just, I just was not enjoying it.
Straight up. Yeah.
Right. And so I was like, I need to find something else. So I was in a funk band. So you can imagine, I used to have long hair and a big beard, and I was wearing feather boas and all kinds of stuff. And actually 15 years ago to this month, I met my wife. And I remember meeting her, and she had just been through her own sort of religious journey. And, but I was like so in love with her, and I couldn't figure out, I was like, whoa, this is so deep. And I remember writing in my journal, I can't believe I'm falling in love with a Christian girl, because that's at the time she was. And I was like, what is happening? I don't understand. I thought I was an atheist, but I think I'm like, I think I'm a love-ist. And then my friend introduced me to this book called A Love-ist. That's what I was calling myself for a while.
But you made that up.
I just made it up. I was trying to. I felt the sense of the need to have an identity, and so I was like, well, that's what I'll describe, because I believed in this thing. I thought, I was like, love is so powerful, and I didn't really know what I was talking about. I just was like, I just know what feels good and what makes people happy, and the way that those people at the Exceptional Foundation, which was the place where I worked as a kid, doing those theater programs, I was like, that's so special. Babies have that. Dogs have that. Like there's there's something divine about that kind of love. They talk about it in church, but I never felt it there.
Yep. Yeah.
I felt it in all these other spaces. And so, and I felt it in my wife. And so I was like, I want what she's having, And she had actually, this is so perfect for this particular conversation, because she had told me when we met, she was like, you're the guy in my dream. I was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, well, I called my mom right after I met you, and I said, Mom, I met the guy in my dream. It's like this faceless teacher, who was like with a bunch of kids, and I just knew that you were that guy. And it makes me emotional even think about it.
Yeah.
It was, 15 years ago. Well,
we can all feel it. Like Jane and I.
Yeah, right. Ooh. Yeah, I'm like, I got all the chills and everything.
My eyes.
Yeah. I know.
Oh, holy cow.
Oh. Yeah, and it was crazy, because at the time I was in a band, and so when I met her, I just stopped drinking and smoking and doing anything. I was like, I just want her, I was like, that was my focus. But she went back home to her hometown in Michigan to work scooping ice cream on a farm. And so she was in college, and I was 20, and I was about to turn 21. And so I was like, well, that's okay. You just go. And then when you come back, we'll just pick back up where we left off. And at the time I wanted that sense of freedom, I kind of realized I was totally in love with her. Well, that summer, my friend introduced me to this book, The Artist's Way. Y'all may have encountered it in your life.
Of course. Yeah.
It's a big one and a good one. And I started, that's why I wrote in my journal about her, because I had never really journaled. And morning pages is a big part of The Artist's Way. And it's sort of like a recovery program, like AA, but for artists. So you're recovering your artistic soul. And I just immediately latched onto it. I was like, ooh, this feels like where we're going, right? So on July 11th, 2011, I was hanging out at my friend's, at my house, my twin brother's house, where we had just a bunch of artists living there, and we were all just kind of trying to figure things out. My parents had just cut us off financially because we were 21 years old and we were becoming artists, and they were like, "What is wrong with you people?" And you're good luck, we love have you, fun luck. Out there. Yeah, we love you. Good luck,
Yeah.
And so we were that came with an incredible sense of freedom. This divine confidence that everything works out as it should. And I just was like, we just have to make art and just try to spread love and see what that does, And so on July 11th, I was riding my bike with my brother and my friend who that's just what we did. We went to the beach that day. We went to Millennium Park. We just went all over the place, and we were just exploring and singing and harmonizing. We had just written a song called "Wake Up to Love," and we were trying to figure out what that. We're so exploring, trying to figure out what this thing is and why nobody's talking about it, and the way that and we're being told to do one thing, but we had all broken that that idea down. The idea of the American, you got to get a job and go to school and all this stuff. We in whatever order, and so we're riding our bikes. I pull up to this. I want to get this falafel sandwich. So my brother and my friend move on. I was like, "Don't worry, I'll get this sandwich." And I put it in my backpack. It was $4 at the time. We were that's where we were at. And I pull up next to this parked car and this large Mack truck. And I knew I was close to him, and I could feel in my body. I was like, he's really close to me, and I think I just need to let him go ahead and get I want to get away from this parked car because I feel trapped. So we're gonna pull forward. I'm gonna let him go ahead of me, and I'm gonna take a left. Well, as we're both pulling forward, he accidentally ends up merging into me, and I went under the back right tires of his truck. And I know y'all are so visceral feelers, so I'm very sorry for the intensity of that reality. But it's whether it's a peanut butter filled pretzel or a Mack truck, it's all anything could humble you at any time.
That's right.
Yeah.
The Mack truck seems a little bit more likely.
I might take the scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
I might do that.
Yeah.
Not breathing wasn't fun. I'll just say that. But anyway,
I know, right? It reminds me of that scene in Austin Powers where he's ham sandwich. He's talking about why all these people died. You know what I'm talking about?
Totally. That's hilarious.
Well, yeah, this one was a lot bigger than that. So I went under his back right tires, and it was pretty big and bad, and I knew. I kind of came to on the street, and I looked down at my arm, and I knew that there was something wrong because there was a rock in it, and it was bleeding, and I was like, "What's going on?"
Yeah.
And all these people are staring at me like in a movie, and they look mortified, and I'm trying to figure out why, because in my experience, I'm fine. I'm putting the pieces together, but I have no fear at this moment. I'm just wow, but I'm very lucid. I'm strangely lucid. And this guy had seen it happen, and he was on his motorcycle, and he had just gotten his glasses adjusted at some Lens Crafters or something. And he puts his kickstand down, leaves his bike running, and runs over to me because these two people were trying to pull me off the street. And he stopped them. And he said, "I'm a firefighter. I know what I'm doing. Do not move him." And so he's keeping me awake. And I remember patting his hand, and I said, "Thank you," because at that time my lungs had started to collapse. My pelvis was broken in 7 places. my femur in my right leg was broken in half, and my tibia on my left leg was broken too. And I had internal bleeding, and so I was in a very, very, very bad state. And he kept me alert, and I knew that he was there to save me. I knew he was the guy. I was like, I'm just going to lock in with him, and I know I'll be okay. Eventually the cops come, you hear the sirens, you hear them all the time, and you pray that it's you pray that you just never think it's for you. And then in this situation, I'm like, wow, this is definitely for me, And so they come, and the police, I remember telling them my brother's phone number, my mom's phone number. I was very lucid at this time.
Wow.
They put me on the ambulance, and I was about 5 minutes driving from a level 1 trauma center. And when they put me on the ambulance, I remember the guy waving to me, being like, Davis, stay with us. You're going to make it. Stay with us. So I'm on the ambulance. This is where I start to lose consciousness and on earth, because the last thing I remember is being in the hospital, and they sent in my twin brother, who was crying harder than I've ever seen him cry in my life. And he said, I love you, Davis. I said, I love you too. He said, I'm here. And I said, I'm here too. And that's how I felt. I was like, I did not know why he was concerned about me, because I had no concerns. Little did I know he had been sent in to say goodbye, because they said we have a 1% chance to save Davis's life. There is internal bleeding that we cannot find. The doctor said, I'm going to make an incision, and if the bleeding is right there, then we can save him. But if it's not, then we can't. So at some point during all of this, they put me in a coma, by the way. And at some point during this, I died. And I know that I died because I was suddenly in space. And I just felt like all fear was gone. And I was home. I felt like I was back to this place that was so familiar to me, and like it almost makes me, I like want to cry with laughter right now, because it was like, why are we so concerned about, like, it's so funny that we're so worried about what happens here on earth. It's like I didn't have any of that. I was just so at peace. I used to describe it, and it's one of the best ways I can. It's like sinking into a warm tub after a long cold day in the snow times 1,000 times 1,000.
Wow.
It was like every part of my body, which wasn't even a body anymore, was at peace, and it was like twinkling with God or with love.
I love that.
And, it was like the concept that we're all stardust. I love that because that's like what it felt like. I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm whatever all of this is me, and I am it too, and it is working through me, and it's all like the same thing, and it's just love. It was like it was so clearly love. It was that was the takeaway of my experience was just love, and my experience was so visceral. I've listened to so many other people talk about their near-death experiences in the incredible community that I'm in, and a lot of times there's a very visual and very like interactive. Mine was it was almost as if God was saying to me, "It is love, Davis. It is love. That thing you've been chasing is what it is. Yeah. Keep going. You
are a love-ist."
Right. Yeah, that is what you are. Yeah. So I was in a coma for 5 days, and they found the bleeding. Spoiler alert: I lived.
Thanks for reassuring us. Thank you.
And I love these stories. They can get so in the weeds, and we almost forget that. It's the person telling them. I forget for myself. I'm like, wait, how does this end? Oh, right, I survived. So I woke up from the coma 5 days later. And I don't remember saying this, but my family was in the room, and I said, apparently I said, I saw an angel on Clark Street. And that was a very unique thing for me to say, because my family knew I'm like this hippie in a funk band, and I'm like, angels, I mean, we have heard them on high. That was about as much as I knew. You know, I knew them in the Christian context. I didn't really understand. Like, I don't know what I was saying. You know, it was, my family was like, what is he talking about? You know, and I just knew like something was happening. And I've also tried to understand why my experience, I didn't like come back with as many like memories of the experience. And I've learned through reading books like Bruce Grayson's After. He talks about how people who are on heavy drugs, like I was because of my injuries, that there is a harder, like the brain has a harder time, holding the memories of the actual experience. So like I know that this happened because it's like a felt like it changed. I will never be the same because of that experience that I had, but I can't remember saying that. To be honest.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
But I knew exactly who I was talking about because a few days later, somebody comes to visit me and nobody knows who he is. But he was like, I was with Davis at the accident. I told him I would come visit him. And they asked me, they're like, Davis, this guy wants to talk to you. Like, do you have any idea? And I was like, I know exactly who it is. And my mom knew that it was the angel that I was talking about. So in walks this guy, this big burly dude, you know, and he's got biceps. He's a biker. He's got the bandana, you know, and he walks over to me and he looks me in the eyes and I know it's him. And they say that that's actually if someone is slipping to the other side and you want to, you know, like that, there's a tether in the eyes that you can almost keep their souls here if you're in a situation like that. And I didn't realize that at the time, but somehow he knew, right? Somehow he knew. And he grabs me with his hands and he's like, I'm so glad you're here. And I finally asked him, I said, what is your name? And of all names in the entire world, it could have been Stephen, it could have been whatever. His name was Art. So I say that Art saved my life. And
my God.
It's almost like I'm going to burst out into tears because I'm like, how
join me?
How can the divine be so beautiful? Like it was, and I mean, he's a real man, you know, he's a real man. His name is Art Giovannes. Like he calls me all the time. Like, I mean, throughout the past 15 years on like New Year's and he'll just check in with me. And when his name pops up, you know, Art, like it's, how is his name Art? I can't believe that. It almost was so unbelievable. I didn't tell my story because it was like, it sounds like a fake story. Like it's like, you know, it's so like, how is this even possible?
Nice fantasy. Well done. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. Good job. But like, there is so much, my family is all there. And honestly, my family, like they know this all happened. They were there for the whole thing. And even they are like, dude. They're like, yeah, I mean, and I come from a family of deep skeptics, you know, so they're like, you know, we were raised in the church, but, you know, we kind of, you know, they're smart people in my family. And they're all just like, I don't know, man, you know, and then this happens. I think that's why it was so like undeniable because it was just like art, you know? And so after that, once I kind of came back with this feeling of like love.
Yeah.
And art, my mission in life became spread love through art. And I haven't looked back since. My recovery was long. You know, I was in a wheelchair for 3 months. I was on a walker for 6 weeks. I was on a cane for 9 months after that. I had a colostomy bag for 7 months at 21 years old.
Yeah.
That was in some ways the worst part of the experience. And yet I recovered faster than the doctors could like imagine, you know, they're like, you had a 1% chance you were shattered, you know, and like, you shouldn't be here at all, let alone recovering, no brain damage. My spinal vertebrae were chipped on the wings. Like I was like centimeters from paralysis, you know, like it's really, it's unbelievable. And now I'm back to like 90% of what I was before. And I was an athlete and a dancer. And that was my motivation, was like, I just want to dance. I just want to dance. Like if I can just get back to dancing, I'll be happy. And I've done that and more. You know, it's been an incredible journey. So since that time, that's what I've been doing. And now just to fast forward to the present moment, I am back in school for the first time since I dropped out at the university where I was born and where I did rehab after my accident, studying music therapy so that I can work with individuals who've been through things like I've been through, and with people with disabilities, and with babies, because that's just what I love to do, and put it all under the same sort of life path. And I'm in my hometown to do it too, because I think there's something, there's some places that need that love and that freedom more than others. And I'm this is the most at home I get to be on earth. I'm from here. So so that's what I'm doing now.
So tell us about that girl.
Yeah, more about the girl.
Oh, you like her, huh?
Yeah.
Well, she's incredible, and we're married now. It's funny, 10 days before she was about to move back to Chicago to go back to school at DePaul and also be with me, she gets a call from my twin brother, and it's like, sit down if you can. My brother was the only one who knew who she was, and he told her what happened, and I can't imagine what she went through.
Yeah.
But she's an incredible soul, and she came in, and I only got to see her for like 10 minutes before I moved back home. And I my parents didn't want me, like my mom, and out of love, but was like, honey, I don't know who you are. You need to move on. This is a long road ahead of him. And she was just trying to protect the situation.
Yep.
And, but I was like, no, I'm in love with this girl. And so, I asked her for a kiss, and so I was like, I just remember, I said that because I'll never forget that moment. Cause I was like, I'm non-weight bearing. I'm like stuck to all these wires, and I'm just like, can you come here, and so it's funny because it's not a straight line, when we got back together, she was with me through all of that recovery stuff. Wow. And then a year later, I ended up breaking up with her, and it was a really hard decision because what I needed was to actually like heal something that had changed in me. And I kind of I couldn't bring anyone along on that road. And I literally told her when I broke up with her, I love you. And I don't know why I'm doing this, but I just know I have to. And that devastated her. She was like, well, just tell me you hate me. Give me a good reason to just have like, that clean break kind of thing. And I was like, I'm really sorry I am hurting you like this, but it's like, I know I have to. And I spent 2 years in my band, exploring. I went I grew out. That's when I started growing out all my hair, really, and I went and explored. I went to retreat centers, and I did like psychedelic journeys to try to figure out if I could like touch that thing again. I hitchhiked a little bit across the country, and I really went on a soul journey. We played music festivals. I dated other people, and without fail, they all were like, you're still in love with that girl, And I was like, no, I'm not, Talk about intuition. Well, a few years later, I'm visiting a friend in France. At this point, I'm like travel. I'm like, all I can do is like, I just want to see everything. I'm just, I don't know what y'all are trying to do, but I'm trying to live, Yeah. And and my friends, for the totally supportive, amazing group of people. But I was in France, and I got an email from her, and she had said, she was really young. I mean, she was like 19, I was 20. We were both really young, but I had been through a life-changing experience that obviously was a little bit personal. And she said, hey, I'm moving out of the apartment where all that stuff that we went through happened. And I just wanted to say, like, as painful as this has been, like, I want to thank you for what we had, because it really meant a lot to me. And I burst into tears, and I flew back to Chicago the next day because I was going anyway. Went and wrote a song to the girl I was dating at the time as my parting gift. Here's your song. Thank you for your time, but Leanne is ready for me now. And so I basically played like a yoga event that night, and she walked in, and I just like knew. I was like, all right, I'm going to like John Cusack stand outside your window with a boombox and just like wait for you to be ready. And we haven't looked back. And now we have 2 kids. And it's one of the coolest things in my life. I'm so grateful for her.
Jane and I are over here boohooing.
Yeah.
I know, me too. I'm like,
why do I
I'm
bother with the
boohooing.
makeup? Yeah.
I know.
It's just pointless on the show.
Right.
Cry every episode. Beautiful, Davis. Thank you.
I think you kind of alluded to it a bit. Most of our listeners out there aren't NDEers. They haven't experienced NDEs. But I think what you were talking about is integration. And that's a big term, like when you start talking about the NDE world. Can you explain a little bit about what that means and how you experience that?
Yes, thank you so much. So integration is like, my life exploded and I was given the message of love. And now I have to put the pieces back together with the core of love right there. And it is a messy and beautiful ride, because what happens is I'm also trying to understand the message of art. I'm trying to figure that out. So the way that the art manifested was I started attending every art gallery opening I could. I started painting. I was writing poetry. I was reading anything that was the art of this. I was reading it. If it was the art of brushing your teeth or the art of whatever, I was like, I'm going to like absorb the art of anything, because that seemed in a very like small way what my human brain could access.
Yeah.
And I also knew the artist's way was I was never going to. That was like, then it's funny because I said I was a love-ist, and I still say that, but I actually say I'm an artist, because to me art is as a gift of love, and it's the way that I define my journey was like that's how it manifests is through the arts. So that was a journey, a long journey, and the love part, was another long path that was coincided with it. It turns out art is an incredible way to process trauma and to process grief and to process joy and to process everything. So I had the tools right there, but I also needed those tools to understand like the stillness of the space that I went to. And so I started getting into meditation, and I started and the way I started getting into that stuff is because I couldn't move. I was a prisoner in my body.
Yeah.
And so one of the gifts of that experience was learning how to be okay with that. And one of my favorite stories I describe is I had an itch on my toe, no family around, no nurses around, nobody there to and I'm completely incapable of reaching all the way down to my toe and scratching it. It was like unimaginable. So I was like, all right, I'm going to have to scratch this thing from the inside. I don't know how that's going to happen, but I'm just going to have to, I'm going to get to it some way or another. And so I just started like experimenting with no guidance. I didn't have teachers or things like that at this time. No spiritual anything. I had the artist's way. That was about it. And I didn't even have it in the hospital. I was just on my own. So I just sent energy, as best I can describe it, to my toe until the itch went away. And you could almost think like that was a reverse way of thinking about how some people teach it. It's like sort of just like the acceptance of it can also like release it. It's the same thing. It's the other side of the same coin. I just was like, I'm going to allow it to be there, and I'm going to see what I can do from the inside to help it be relieved. And so that I was like, okay, that was magic. I got to figure out what that was. And so I spent a lot of time doing that. In recovery, I went to a meditation center here in Birmingham, and I spent a lot of time with those folks and just in stillness and trying to figure out what that was. And I also I let my phone die because smartphones were around, I guess, in 2011. It's hard to imagine that, but they were. And I knew that was like a trap in its own way at that time. And I just was like, I don't really want the world to be part of this journey. I want this journey to be my whole world, And so I was very lucky at that time in my life to be able to just recover. And so I would get DVDs from like Netflix when they would send DVDs to your house. And I would do like a little mini film festival, and then I would like drink tea and watch hummingbirds, and I would read poetry. And I was just like in a space of just like that kind of thing where I was like, what does it mean to just be, to just exist without, I was raised by a workaholic dad. And so I was a really hard worker, and I was just mulching my whole, place this morning. I love to serve and work, but now I've learned deeply how to just exist and be and to rest and to love my body. And so I used to hate baths. I was an ADHD kid, and I was medicated at a young age, and they were always trying to like control this thing. But I just wanted to be out there and like moving and stuff. And so I fell in love with taking baths. And it was so funny because like that's why I use that metaphor, because like I was like, my body loves this. I want my body to be happy and healthy. And so I've gotten really good at relaxing. And so striking that balance, spending years trying to release what I call chill guilt, which I think a lot of people have, where they can't, it almost impedes their ability to just exist. They're like, I should be doing something, there's that. And luckily I was, as Ram Dass describes his stroke as being stroked, and I felt like I was, and I watched his documentary about his stroke while I was in recovery. And I remember being like, I've been stroked. I need to I've been knocked down. Like, why would I fight to get back into this like machine thing that people are, this rat race that everybody's on, when I think I'm here to learn how to be. And then maybe I didn't know this at the time, but maybe one day share that and try to help people feel okay about what's going on in their lives. So that's what integration is to me, is how that looks. Now, one of the fascinating things about near-death experiences is that integration averages like 13 years or something. It takes a long time.
Yeah.
It takes a long time because it's explosive, and for all those people who had like heart attacks and remembered all of their NDE, a lot of those people recover and pretty much go right back into their lives, and then things start falling apart for them. There's unfortunately like a high divorce rate for people who've been through these things because it's so altering that it's like I have to question everything. Now I feel blessed that I had a long integration recovery process where I could really sink into my experience, and I was young, which sometimes is like, I used to be so upset that it was when I was like, why is this happening to me at this age? Like, I don't get it, but now I'm like, well, that just kind of protected me from ever going into, like, a lot of NDers quit their jobs. They there's a lot of things that happen. And I just never got into that stuff. I've just stayed outside of it this whole time. And I'm really grateful for it. Now, like, for example, going back to college, I'm like, this is exactly what, I don't know why, but this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And we'll find out, we just I call it the cosmic breadcrumbs. It's just, I'm just following them wherever they lead,
Well, something you keep saying, which I find so charming, is this piece of like, I don't know why, but this is for me. Like you said it with that heartbreaking breakup. You just said it right now. Like, I'm in college. I don't know why, but this is exactly for me. I wonder if you can describe how you know that. Are you able to kind of...
It's funny because Sachi and I talk about this, my friend who's a medium, who we mentioned earlier, our friend. I joke with her because I'm like, I don't know how to do that stuff. I don't know, but really it's like, I follow my heart, and that's how I describe it. Now, I do have this. This is the only tattoo I've gotten. I don't know if you can see it, but it's heart with art in parentheses.
Yay!
And I got it. Me and my twin brother and our friend who was with us the day of the accident. We all have it. My friend had it first, and we asked him if we could do it too in our own handwriting, and just as like a way to honor that time. And so we all got it, and we're all devoted to it, and they're on the similar path, and I, to me, the greatest work of art is our lives. Yeah. So to live beautifully is to co-create with the great artist, with God, with the universe. And so to me, that's like, I don't know, it's like, I don't know how to describe it. Now, I do have this is the only tattoo I've gotten. I don't know if you can see it, but it's heart with art in parentheses. And I got it. Me and my twin brother and our friend who was with us the day of the accident. We all have it. My friend had it first, and we asked him if we could do it too in our own handwriting, and just as like a way to honor that time. And so we all got it, and and people suffer over art. They're like, I have to like trudge my way through this, and I'm like, or you can just riff and improvise with what you're given. It's all right here. You have access to whatever. I mean, there's levels and people can go deeply into their instruments, and that's incredible and all that kind of stuff. And I admire all and I'm doing it myself. But there's also this joy of creation, the childlike joy of creation, the thing that my kids do when they have their crayons out and they're just making stuff. It's like, that's how I feel about life. And so whatever makes a kid draw a certain line or choose a certain color is what it feels like to say, I got to do this or I got to do that. To me, almost, it's like it's in there, and everything else goes away. Like it's when my heart says I have to do something, there is no other noise. It's so clear. Like it happened to me yesterday. I was feeling a little nervous about a relationship thing in my family, and I was like shaming myself for what my role in it, and then it just disappeared. And I was like, actually, I feel like I've represented myself well, and that was maybe their experience that I was taking on. I was a big people pleaser, and so one of my journeys was like, no, I'm still working on this. I'm still making sure that like the clarity of the heart is the most sacred thing to me. And so if I can have that clarity, then anything that distorts it, the fear, is not serving the path. And so, so when I say I have to go to college, I will say this, and I have a relationship with the universe through a divination technique called the I Ching.
Sure.
Maybe y'all know the I Ching, but it's sort of like, it's like ancient Chinese like divination technique. And my friend taught it to me, and it's been one of the most like personal and incredible things in my life. And so I used to not talk about it much because I was like, I'm kind of talking to God over here, and I don't really want anyone else to know about it,
Yeah.
That's how it felt for a while, you know what I mean?
Protect it.
And so, right. I was very like protective of it, and it was like a little flame, and I was like, I just, now it's like a nice hearth fire, and so I'm like, I use that as a mirror to check in with my heart. I flip coins all the time to make subtle, like little decisions, because it helps me realize what my heart actually wants. And I don't always just do what the coin says. So sometimes that is a fun way to live. Should I eat this food tonight or that food? Like whatever. But but when it's a bigger decision, like should I go to college? Like for example, the I Ching, it doesn't tell me what to do, but it just reflects back to me. The cosmic path of people throughout centuries. Since human history has existed, we used to have a closer relationship culturally to the divine, and so it was like very clear. So I guess I've been stumbling through trying to figure out, to answer your question, Jane, like how it feels. It's like it's just a clarity. It's like a and now I see the relationship to clairvoyance. It's like there's a clarity to it. I'm like,
to the
I don't know.
clairs,
I don't see images. I don't hear things. I just feel a clarity, and I'm like, okay.
Like it's just feeling the alignment. This aligns with how my heart feels it should be.
Yes.
That's so good.
Yeah. You were already on that path before your accident.
I was.
Yeah. But then do you feel like the accident just affirmed that path for you?
I was just talking to Sachi about this, and absolutely. Like it's funny because a lot of times people come into they expect out of a near-death experience, they're like, I was an angry, I have some friends who have amazing transformations. I was angry, I was this, and then I'm completely different. And for me, I feel grateful and amazed and humbled that it felt as if God was like, keep going. I'm going to rock your world so that you keep going. It's like that's what it felt like. It was like you're on to it. Just keep, because I one of my challenges in my own life is just questioning myself and doubt.
Sure.
And so I know a lot of people have that. But I get like I sometimes get really confused, and So luckily, that's part of why the tattoo helps me because it doesn't go away. And so, and it's the only one. It's the only one I have. But it's and my scars never go away, and the feeling of love will never go away. And the details of that story, I can't question art. I cannot question that. I can't.
Yeah.
It's not. It's unquestionable. It's
Right.
literal truth. It's fact. So I feel grateful. I feel like it was like the universe, God, love being like, yes. It was like an affirmation.
Yeah.
To me.
It's
Yeah.
the proof of art.
But wait, I have a silly logistical question. So this accident happened on Clark Street?
Yeah.
Okay, because when you said an
Chicago?
angel, well, my husband's from Chicago, and I've spent a
Okay.
little time there.
I know Chicago too. I went to
Sarah
school
knows
there.
Chicago
Yeah.
too.
Where'd you go?
Northwestern.
Nice.
I
My
know Park
bandmates
Street.
were from Northwestern. I played Dillo Day. I don't know if they had
Oh,
Dillo
yeah.
Day back.
Yeah, I'm older than you, but definitely
Dillo Day. Okay,
I
cool.
sure do.
I have so many Northwestern connections. It's fun. It's crazy. But my wife and my brother went to DePaul, so it was like half DePaul, half Northwestern was my friend group. But yeah, Clark and Diversey. If you know,
Okay.
if you know the
You know where
intersection.
that is. Yep.
Yeah.
It's where Broadway starts going up into Boys Town. It's like that's where he was taking the right onto Broadway, and I was trying to stay on Clark. And
Oh, wow. That's incredible. I mean, I'm curious about you spent a tiny bit of time talking about being out, as your body went into the coma, were you sort of out in space for a while, or can you say more about the actual
yeah,
other side moments?
that one's a tricky because like I don't know how long I was there. I lost sense of time.
Sure.
For
Yeah.
sure. Like I had no idea what was going on. But I can say that I know the difference between space and like the coma, because the coma was just like a void. There was no
There.
yeah, there was no like magic to the coma. It was just I just was like I was medically placed in a state of no consciousness, and I know that because I woke up during a procedure, like for a brief period. They were like resetting my femur.
Oh my
and
God.
I know, and I like woke up and I was like, and I like made eye contact with the guy who was like holding my leg, and he's like, and then I like just fell back, and so that didn't happen when I was in, because I was stabilized. So I think that the space part, which was timeless, was maybe very short. It's just that I was touch and go. Like I was either like going to die or not. And so when I died, being in space was like, and space is just the best word I can use. Of course, there's no real words. I recognize that our human minds, like we desire a sense of like, I want to understand it. And so like, I give space. I talk to my kids about this stuff, but they're kids, so I don't tell them all this stuff. I just say, we were stars in the sky, and my daughter's always talking about like how did I get here, and I'm like, well, you were a star in the sky, and you saw me and Mom, and you thought I want to be a part of that, and so you came down, and you joined us, and then when we die, we'll go back to being stars together, and so we'll never not be together. We'll always be together. It's just sometimes we're stars and sometimes we're here. And that's just like my real simple, I know, isn't it? Like, it's so sweet. And she's amazing. She's 6, and I'm gonna get to spend all summer with her. And I'm like, she's in kindergarten and gets out this week, and then we have all summer together. Can't wait.
Aww.
And Sachi just gave me an incredible reading that like I was sobbing because it's so much about my daughter, and it's I'm sure we might get into that later, but so the space thing is like I say God is a feeling, because to me like that's what it was. It was like God is a feeling. God is like we create God in our image and with myths and narratives and stories a lot of times. But like, this was one of those things where I was like, oh, God is everything, like everything. And so I was, it was so, all of that programming was just like, wiped, you know, it was like wiped.
Yeah.
And so, it's hard to describe like how like it was, I don't know. I don't know. I just know what it felt like. And it was like, I just learned the love part and it was like, get rid of everything else. And if it doesn't align with love, you can just let it go. You can just release it and find the way through the core of love.
That letting go of all the programming, and I think that's such a huge part of it, and like the gift that you can take from that experience, because it was just like all gone. Like the fear's gone, the programming's gone, and what you're left with is like love with a capital L. Do you catch glimpses of that feeling? Like I know, and Jane, like maybe as a medium, you do too. Like there's just like when I'm in a deep, deep, deep meditation and I feel the divine, like I just catch brief moments of that. It's like euphoria, like that euphoric feeling of, I don't know where I begin. I don't know where the divine starts, but I am the divine and I am in it. And sometimes I will just catch a glimpse of it. It's like a little taste. And I'm imagining that's what you're explaining that experience. That's what I'm taking in. Are you able to find that in your day to day?
Absolutely. And it's funny because for a while I used to chase it in like a thrill. And because I was like, well, I know that certain substances people talk about can get you there. So I tried ayahuasca and LSD and psilocybin, and it's funny because someone described it this way, a near-death experiencer, and I kind of rephrased how they said it, but basically they said psychedelics is like seeing space. Near-death experience is like being space. You know, it's like that's how
great.
So yeah, I would get glimpses that way, but then I learned quickly, and I haven't done a lot of them. I'm going to be totally transparent. It was just that I was like, this is not a sustainable way to be with God. I can't just do drugs all the time. That's crazy. But I was 21, you know, so I was like, you know, I was trying stuff to see what I could do. I did a vision quest where I went into the woods in Hawaii where my brother lives, and I took only water and a tent and a backpack, and actually a copy of Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. And that's what I for 4 days, I didn't speak to anyone, and I didn't do anything but drink water and walk and see and watch God through the ocean and the trees and the birds and reading Man's Search for Meaning, I was like, oh, it's the people and the things that I already have. It's everything that I already have is where God is. So that was like a little nugget that really did something for me. That same trip, I skydived. I've only done it once, and now as a parent, I know y'all can relate to this. I am not interested in putting my life in danger anymore. But before I was a parent, I was like, let's go, you know? And it was the cosmic breadcrumbs. My friends were all going, and it was seamless. It was very frictionless. And so I went, and when I watched my brother jump out of the airplane, and I'm like, well, if he's gone, I'm gone. I mean, like he's my best friend, my identical twin, you know? Yeah. And so then when I jumped, I had a guy with me on my back. And the only two things I could say is thank you, I love you, thank you, I love you, thank you, I love you. And that has actually become my prayer, my mantra. Like when there's I love you, I forgive you for processing through a relationship. And then there's thank you, I love you is just like my core prayer, you know, because to me, that's the best possible prayer I could ever give for what I have is like, thank you. Like it was almost all gone. So to have any of it is such a gift, even the really hard stuff. And it's really hard out there, you know? Yeah. But like, that's also what this is. Like I think we're here to learn to love better. So in my daily life, like, you know, I've been feeding this like cat that like wanders through my backyard, and she's sitting on my compost bucket over there. And like, I feel that. I feel it,
Yeah.
and that's,
Yeah.
it's like, it's so subtle. And I realized after the thrill seeking era of my integration that I was like, actually what I really want is to find it right in front of me, like even just right here, like within
Right here,
me,
right now,
so that I
yeah.
can be anywhere. And I'd heard all those things, wherever you go, there you are, but I didn't understand them,
Right.
and
Yeah.
and so,
Yeah.
until I was like, oh, actually, I've put myself in so many scenarios that I'm like, oh, actually, this is it. And now I genuinely can't believe that I am happily living in my hometown doing in this way. I was like the most get out of Alabama guy, I was like, get me out of here, and now I'm like
kind of
very
full circle.
content. Right. It's very Joseph Campbell, it's like, it's
Totally.
it just is, it is that way.
Hey, speaking of time and space, y'all, I'm so sorry to say that we have to close our little amazing magical conversation.
Wow.
But with the
Wow,
hero's
I can't believe
journey,
it's been that long.
I know it's been amazing, and I know our listeners are going to just eat this up. It's just been so wonderful sitting with you and hearing your story and your integration and your beautiful revelations, I guess, I think integration is such a cool word. It's like, that's it. We're eating and composting our lives.
I've been in tears this whole hour.
I know.
Just really quick, I've done a bunch of research on NDEs, and there's actually been research done on this, that people who are friends with NDEers or learn about NDEs, it's like you get to absorb the magic. And I feel like we've just been sitting in this last hour. Like, it's like it's rubbed off on us. So
that's
like, I'm
amazing.
imagining like all of your friends, especially your twin brother, were, kind of got to take part in, like, you took it for the team,
Your poor body.
Yeah,
Totally. I know. I'm so grateful for this thing, and it's come a long way. But yeah, I really do feel like that. Like, my friends completely like converged on me and have just carried me. And it's funny because I realize that I have those friends from that era, a lot of whom I don't actually keep in touch with in the like regular way, because I moved so far away. We all moved away, but I carry like that. That is something that it's always there. It's in the field. It's always there, and so we always have it,
Beautiful. Well, we'll have this conversation, and thank goodness we recorded it. So
Yeah.
thank you for being with us, Davis. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's been a true gift.
Thank
We'll
you.
look forward to seeing you again soon.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.